Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. So now we'd like to have some questions. So I would love if you could go to Slido, because, is there more? Oh, Bianca, welcome. So I would really appreciate, because this is a questioning session, so I really appreciate if you can go to Slido and enter your questions. So we would like to have a discussion about networking, why it's super important and how you can really use it to unleash opportunities for your career. So I'm very delighted to have these amazing panelists. I was trying to read about what they do, and guys, I can't do them justice. So what I would like to do is I'll give them a chance to talk about themselves in one line, please. So I would love if you can just tell the audience what you do in one line, and maybe tell us something fun about yourself. Because I've stalked them on LinkedIn, maybe something we can't, find when we look at your LinkedIn. So I know you came in last, but it's okay, we're gonna start with you. So Bianca, why don't you tell the audience a bit about yourself and maybe something fun.
Yeah, that's fine. Hi everyone, my name's Bianca. So I work at Deloitte Digital and I lead the visual design practice. So we predominantly focus on everything that's sort of visual design related in various products in digital. So creating websites, different interfaces, apps and websites. I think that's probably a brief summary about myself. Something fun, I don't have much fun, but, well, I do have a lot of fun, not to say I don't, I do have a life. I think this year I said I was going to try and do something different, so I've sort of given myself a variety of sort of mini tasks. I've taken up tennis this year, so that's like a little fun fact about myself. I did pole dancing at one point, but that sort of fell off. So, but yeah, I just try and do as many different things throughout the year.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. Pole dancing, wow. And you were saying no fun? Pole dancing? Amazing. So anyway, I'm going to move on to Catherine. It'd be great if you can tell us what you do in one line. We'll try and see. And then maybe something fun as well.
Yeah. So hi everyone, my name is Catherine. I work as an engagement manager for a SaaS company called Amplitude. So my main role is I actually manage the programs of implementations of the platform. And Amplitude is basically a user behavioral analysis platform that helps companies build better products. So I've been in IT for over 20 years, so I've kind of been in the tech world for a long time. And like Casey said, I've always been the only black woman, so it's great to be here and see so many young black women in this industry. We need more of us to actually make a change in tech. Fun fact about myself is I was born in Uganda, East Africa, and my family is, my dad was part of the royal family in Uganda, so I'm kind of like a princess. But, yeah, that's
I have to be careful now. Don't want to be arrested.
So hard act to follow.
Okay, thank you so much, Catherine. So I'd like to move on to Sandra. It'd be great to hear what you do.
Hello, everyone. My name's Sandra Powell, and I'm a director at Deutsche Bank. So what do I do? So I run the equity derivatives middle office platform there, with teams globally. As Catherine said, I've been in technology for a very long time, and I started more than 30 years ago. So I've been doing this a really long time. And it's great to be in this forum, so thank you for Viola to actually putting this all together, because I was always the only black person in the room. Forget black woman, just the only black person in the room. And being in a place where lots of different women from different organizations, different roles, is amazing to see that we are just, leading the charge here in terms of like making sure that we are visible and we are in front. So, so we talked about having young people in the room. So as part of my role at Deutsche Bank, I'm also part of black leadership there. And I also run their apprenticeship scheme at Deutsche Bank. And so some of the young women you talk about are part of the apprenticeship scheme that we're running. This will be our second year. And it's really about ensuring that we have diverse people in those roles. And you don't have to have somebody there that's, is a coder or has ever done IT before. It's really about people who are interested in participating at the firm and also want to do IT as well. So, and that's ensuring that we don't just look at people who come from large universities and institutions, but we're also looking at people who are coming out of school and maybe not have the opportunity to go to a university or one of those universities, but also have an opportunity to work at a large firm like ourselves. And so we're very much invested in diversity of thought, making sure our teams are diverse, and actually having those thought process pushed through. So that's my role. And do I have any fun facts?
You have to have one. Come on.
I won't have one. I'll move it along because I know that we've got time.
We'll come back to that, Sandra.
I feel like we're saying women in technology don't have fun. Hi everyone, my name is Kike Oniwinde-Agoro. I'm the founder and CEO of BYP Network. We're one of the sponsors here today, so very happy to be involved. BYP Network is a platform that connects black professionals with each other in corporations. So we have over 150,000 members around the world, and we also work with over 1,000 clients in some capacity. So we have events, we just had our leadership conference a couple of weeks ago already. We also have courses that help companies retain talent. So it's called Black Experience Course. So go back to your company and let them know that if they need to understand the Black experience, BYP Network has got them. I guess on my side, a fun fact is I'm a new mum, so I've joined the Working Mums group chat. Thank you. And yes, it is everything working mums talk about. I've seen it now, the lack of childcare, all that stuff. I see it. So yeah, she's 4 months old and I'm really enjoying it. That's my fun fact.
Brilliant. Give it a round of applause to these women. They're absolutely amazing, and they're taking their time today to be here to kind of share their knowledge. So we're here to kind of talk about networking, and I think these group of women, like just hearing what they do and how they give so much of their time to our community. So I'm going to pick their brains for you today, and I hope you can take something from this. So, networking. So, I'm going to come to you, Sandra, with this first question.
Okay.
Can you sort of share how networking has sort of impacted you both professionally and personally?
So I think that, being the only black woman in a room, you really do have to be confident about what you'll do, why you're there, and what value you bring. And so when you're networking, you're reaching out. So it's always about asking questions. So there's no point being at a networking event and not speaking to anyone. And also engaging with what you want to bring to that as well. So my view around, networking, this is a networking event, but also at the firm we do a lot of different networking events in lots of different forums. And so I think it's really important that, even though it's to look at yourself and what you are interested in doing and how you can therefore engage and have discussions with people as part of a network or create your own network, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with creating your own network. So to me, it's about confidence. Being in forums like this should be confidence enough for anyone, to be honest. So that's my view.
Okay, that's great. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just want to add on to what Sandra said. I think it's really important to be confident in the way that you present yourself, but also in the way that you carry yourself, right? I think if you carry yourself with confidence, you're able to then exude that to people that you're talking to. I just want to, tell you a little story about my journey. So I used to work for a previous tech company, and I was kind of given the remit of the Scandinavian regions. Most of my customers were in Scandinavia. I remember speaking to a client on the phone, and we had really great conversations. And then I went to visit them on site, and the first thing that she said to me was, "Oh, Catherine, I thought you were Irish." Just the look on her face was so shocking. And then I thought, okay, this is going to be an interesting meeting. And then I presented whatever I came to present. We had a really great session. And at the end of the conversation, she came to me and said, "I really apologize because I didn't think that I thought that you were white because we had spoken on the phone." And it's actually really about breaking down those barriers, right? And really making sure that people know who you are, but also know the value that you're bringing to that conversation, importantly. And that's really key as a black woman, that you really have to exude
that confidence, and be intentional about your network and what value you're going to bring to them, but also what you are, what they, they're getting from you as a professional.
Yeah, I'll jump in there. So BYP Network, the reason we have the word networking is because it is a networking platform. And it really was from my own experiences. So I did a lot of investment banking internships. Actually, Deutsche Bank was my first one. And I realized how important it was to network and to make sure that, you're meeting others around you, so your peers, not just kind of the managing directors and, others that could try and help you get a job. One of my best experiences was I was at a networking event and I was on my way home and I just bumped into a woman who was there and I was like, I love your coat. She's like, oh, thank you. Then we got to speaking. I took her card, I sent her an email the next day, and then I got an internship at her firm. And that's literally the power of networking. So even though I did have the credentials, but even when you do, there's so many other people, but it's who you know. You have to kind of get in there. And so that's why, like with BYP Network, we connect people to the hiring managers, the recruiters, etc., because they need to see you directly so they can put your name forward. So we say a lot, network is your net worth, but it does provide a lot of opportunities. So I know we've mentioned a lot about confidence, but let's say you don't have confidence. Through networking, you can meet a mentor, you can meet a sponsor, you can meet people who can help you gain confidence as well. But it's so important for your own development to build your network and just to be out there, Yeah,
that's great. So I'm hearing a lot of we need confidence and authenticity you were mentioning there. But then can you really tell us, how do we do it networking well? So when we go out to events and we're, trying to sort of show that confidence, but is there some steps and tips, on how to do it well? Or have you also, from your experience, have you been to events where you're like, oh God, I have to stay away from that girl, from that woman? So it'd be great to sort of share, some tips. So I'll give that to you, Bianca, if you wouldn't mind.
I guess, in terms of tips, I would say it all, derives from a passion. So, for instance, if you find that network that you actually have, an interest in, it almost opens up to other doors, the way you could actually find people that are like-minded of yourself. I think that's sort of where I sort of started in my journey of networking. I think in my own sort of workplace, I didn't realize I was actually doing it, but I actually started a network or a group of people that we all followed the same passion and drive, and we actually found like-minded people in that space. So I think that's probably why I'm actually sitting here today. So I think you just don't know where it can take you and all the doors that it can open for you. So I think finding the right individuals.
The right individuals. Okay. So do we have any funny stories or to share? I know Sandra is laughing there, so.
Is that funny, or just funny? I mean, I think it's really interesting when Casey was talking about, her name and how difficult it was to find roles or a job, in the area that she wanted to be in, and essentially she created her own, right? And I think, I feel like I'm always the opposite of that. I'm the invisible black person because, as you said, when you turned up, she wasn't expecting you. And so that has always been my experience. My experience has been is when I turn up, it's like, I've actually had somebody say to me, I didn't know you were black. And I was like, well, what does a black person sound like? I don't know what that is, right? So that's a funny story, but back then it wasn't funny, but it's now a funny story because, ultimately when you're speaking to people about bringing your authentic self, when people are telling you to bring yourself to work, that is part of your experience. And so you should be able to say to somebody, this has been my experience, and you have to recognize when some people do turn up for interviews, that has been their experience, and so you have to consider that as well, right? And so that's really important. So yeah, that's my funny story.
Brilliant, thank you.
I'll just jump in there. I'll go back to the previous question about how to network. So I'm a big believer of events helping you to network. So a lot of BYP events is we'll give you a game to play, go and speak to 5 different people, get their name, what they do, if they have a dog or something like that. So even just right now, turn to the person next to you and introduce yourself. 5 seconds.
Wow.
Exactly. You just enhance your network. It is literally that simple. See, people don't want to stop now. This is it. Exactly. Okay, guys, this is enough now. Thank you. Thank you. I've got everyone going. Okay, well, that's that then. We'll go back to the panel.
Okay, thank you. You're great.
All right, thanks everyone. Thank you.
Stop networking. Okay.
Thanks everyone. But that's it. You've got a new network. That's it.
Yeah, they're brilliant networkers, I think. Okay, so we're looking at Slido questions. So we have one question here, Kike, for you. So Lydia wants to know, what were some of the biggest challenges when starting BYP, and how did you overcome this? Also, how did you prepare yourself for fundraising?
Yeah,
it's an interesting question.
Yeah, great questions. So for the first year and a half, I was doing BYP Network whilst working in fintech. So that's financial technology. And it was just a side hustle. I was just doing events maybe like every single month. And I remember my mindset back then was, I want events where people leave their titles at the door. It doesn't matter who you are. You can be a managing director, or you can be an intern, or you can be someone who doesn't have a clue what they're doing. It doesn't matter. We should all be able to just be in the room and just talk to each other and not kind of have bravado. Because I experienced that in a lot of networking events. There was all this kind of, someone would be like, oh yeah, I'm a photographer, and someone else would be like, I'm a managing director, and then swiftly move away. It was really like elitist in some way, and I really hated that. So for me, BYP events were always about kind of different venues each time. Let's have drinks, let's have food, let's have DJs. Let's just all come together. And quite quickly, it became like the go-to event. So tickets would sell out quite quickly. Kind of like DLT is now, but back in the day, I'm just saying. So we did that, and then I won a bunch of pitch competitions, which allowed me to then just go full-time and realize that there's something more here with BYP. And at that point, we had launched an app as well, which got thousands of downloads quite quickly. The point I'm trying to make there was that was all just grind and hustle, and that was just my own kind of passion and what I felt like the business needed to be. But the key part of my story about networking is that the next 6 months after quitting my job was just me going out to different events, going out to meet different people, asking people to connect me to people. Like, it was relentless. And in that 6 months, I was able to kind of gain a network and meet people that wanted to invest in BYP Network. So a lot of it was organic, and it was that kind of conversation that, I didn't even realize that, oh, okay, that person's now interested. Even one of my mentors as well, she was like, I want to invest, and I wasn't expecting that. So for me, BYP journey has been one of meeting people that have helped BYP on the journey, and then the members as well. Like, you come to an event, you just become friends, essentially, just like you guys just did a second ago. And so, yeah, I think that's the key thing. So fundraising is all about, again, creating your network, and then just being authentic with it.
So we're just going to round up. Just before we do, we're just going to round up with one question. So through our discussions here, we're talking about, networking is about showing that confidence, putting yourself out there, being authentic, seeking those opportunities and really creating, that will in turn give you opportunities. But then when we do go to events and we do show this confidence and we do make those great connections, so how do we keep that going? How do we nurture that? So I'm going to leave that with you, Catherine, if you can just finish up on that. How do we then make sure that we continue to keep those amazing relationships, that those doors and opportunities continue to, remain open for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kike mentioned she has a mentor, right? And I think it's really important to get yourself a mentor. It doesn't have to be someone within your organization, maybe someone external, to really help you and guide you along your career path, and really making sure that you can change the trajectory of your career and actually look at ways that you can enhance your journey through your professional life, but also personally as well. So I have a mentor who is kind of the VP of customer success. So I have monthly check-ins with him every month, and I really make it intentional to have those check-ins, right? And the check-ins, I always go with really good questions as to how do you think I can take my career to a promotion, or how do I go ask for a raise, or how do I make sure that people in the organization know who I am? So, I mean, I can vouch for the BYP network. We're running a mentoring program at Amplitude, so we have 20 young professionals we're mentoring through kind of VP level down to the sales team. And I've made it really intentional for people to get to know me. So I head up the EMEA Black ERG at Amplitude, and really getting your name out there and known in your organization. and really nurturing those relationships either internally or externally. I think that's quite key.
Okay, brilliant. So I'm just going to round up. So networking, it's very important. And when you want to do it, you want to make sure you're going out with, you're showing that confidence, bringing that authenticity, show who you are to people and really make those connections. And don't forget when you sort of make those connections, continue to nurture them. Be very intentional when you seek out those relationships. You're looking for mentors. Be very intentional in terms of like, okay, how do you want them to support you? What do you want to get out of this relationship? So I think we better leave it there because we don't have more time. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, women, for sharing your experiences. Thank you.